You are now listening to the Peter and Jake Talks Wrasslin podcast, a weekly review of Monday Night Raw and other wrestling-related topics. And here's your hosts, Peter Day and Jake Grandi.
Hello, boys and girls. You are now listening to the Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling podcast. We're doing something different. Maybe this sounds a little weird. Me and Jake are back on Skype. Last time I had to mic up my phone to the speaker on my computer, so he sounded like he was actually calling in. This week, I rigged it so we can get a cleaner audio and test this shit out for the big interview this Friday with the Slag Daddy of Off the Ropes show. So it's good to know we have this as an option from now on if this runs smoothly. Thank you for listening. How are you, Jake?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, the snow coming in and everything. It's good. It lets me catch up on school because I'm actually kind of falling behind in classes. So now that I don't have to go to them, I can catch back up with them. Surprise,
you behind in school. Hey, it ain't gonna always snow, motherfuckers. So you got to stay on point. And on the other end, on my side, you know, the weather is fucking up my money still. And I don't even know how the hell I'm going to get through the end of this month, a shorter month at that. So we're in for some treats coming up soon, on my side in terms of how I'm going to fucking operate. But, money come, money goes, whatever. I think I made a post yesterday about how I hate money so much. And money to me is it's like a really hot chick you're in the friend zone with. And all she does is tell you about the guys that treat her like shit. That's me. That's my relationship with money. So, nevertheless, so without further ado, I'm gonna do some plugs. So if you're listening right now, whether it's SoundCloud, Stitcher, or YouTube, the website is pjtwcentral.com. You can find me on two accounts on Twitter. You have PJTW Central, that's the Twitter, and then you also have Ellen Japanese, which is LINJAPANESE. So you can follow either the two. I'm talking shit, posting Instagram stuff on my on Twitter as well. How does someone find you, bro?
JG Pro Wrestling on Twitter. And then I guess, you know, Grantano Grand on Facebook if you want to hit me up on Facebook. But I'm just kind of on there talking to old friends and stuff. And we also have I also have another podcast, obviously, as you know, Peter. It's a Faster Than the World podcast I do with my uncle, the amazing Fritz, and I. We review NXT every week. And we should have that coming for you every Saturday morning.
And yes, and this Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling podcast comes to you every Wednesday evening. And then every Friday, I do a podcast called Peter Talks Wrestling With, which is a Q&A, back and forth conversation with another fan on the social medias, whether YouTube, Twitter, or what have you. If you're interested, hit me up on PJT Central at Twitter, or you can also send an email to PJTWCentral at Gmail. Just make sure to have like a Skype account, and we're talking like an hour and a half about wrestling. And this Friday we have Slag Daddy from the Off the Ropes show. I'm not sure if you heard of him, but he's a video blogger off Twitter who's been at it for about 8-9 years. He has a nice little fan base. The guy is very insightful, very logical. Me and him share the same views. I'd imagine Jake would throw his computer out the window if he ever saw any of his windows, because he's completely against a lot of these indie philosophies of how the WWE should be ran. So I'm looking forward to that. And also, big shout out to This is Wrestling, spelled with a Z. Eyes is This is Wrestling 101 on YouTube. He was the first person to ever comment and add and subscribe to the Peter Jake Talks Wrestling Central YouTube page. So big shouts to you. If you ever want to have a conversation, big man, if you're listening right now, you ever want to have a conversation, feel free to hit me up on YouTube and hook it up. And for those that are listening also, be sure to like, thumbs up, share, subscribe, share with your friends. This is how we can get this conversation and reviews to everyone. If you enjoy this, enjoy what everyone else posted on people's webpage. Also, like, share on Twitter, do what you can, because we're just fans. We try to make you laugh. We also try to dive into the world of wrestling and this, that, and the other. So, man, I sound like an actual host, dude. It sucks. So, we had a lot of wrestling on Sunday, definitely, between the two of us and Fritz. We went to the PWX what is it? I think
it was Rise of the
Champion, man. And we saw that, and then we got back and watched the pay-per-view Fastlane. What do you want to speak of on the PWX show that we went to?
I really enjoyed myself. I mean, there was the Young Bucks were there, Cedric Alexander was there, so you had the, kind of like, I would say, like the indie staples, and also some really good wrestling. It was in a really cool environment. It was at this like local club. I've never been to a show quite like that where it was that closed in, packed in, but it was really fun.
It was
Peter.
It was interesting, man. I mean, out of U.S. talent, a lot of talent from the U.S. that I've never heard of or seen. Very surprised that of how everyone was really professional, how everything kind of went smoothly. Being that it was a independent and maybe a lot of the guys were green, I still think that everyone performed at a high level. It was interesting to see the Young Bucks for the first time. Yes, I booed them because they are bastards, but they got a babyface pop for being in the place, and I was very honored to be able to see such talent. They brought the IPG, what do you call it?
IWGP.
They brought those belts with them. I actually popped to see the belt, and they ended up losing to, a local act, regular act that played awesome heels. You also had Cedric Alexander in the main event. That was really awesome, and long and very, very, very physical, very brutal, very violent. We had like a really good no holds barred kind of street fight. Y'all felt differently about it, but I think in that kind of setting, I think it was pretty decent, man. I mean, overall, they're going to start doing these like every month at Z's in Winston-Salem. And overall,
they said next month Justin Gabriel is going to be there, so that's kind of cool.
And it looks like something that me and you are going to be showing up to every once in a while. In terms of doing like interviews with a lot of the talent that shows up, it's gonna be me having to save some money and buy some product and take a photo and then be doing that in order to sort of like feel more comfortable about interviewing these guys. But I think overall, if that ball starts running and we start to get like quick little like 30-minute interviews with these guys or 15-minute interviews, it's going to help us a lot and it's going to be really fun. So yeah, that's I'm looking forward to future and we got to get PWX. We have to start buying like I owe you like what $15. We need to start buying like beforehand. And those the gladiator seats we had, I would much rather watch that up there all the time rather than being on the floor. I don't want to be on the floor.
I completely agree. You don't have to get up whenever there's a high spot. You get to see everyone else react, which is part of the fun, And you can still yell at them. You're so close enough to yell at them. I think we were kind of like marking out for Country Jack, the heel like redneck tag team with the belts that wrestled the Young Bucks, and he was sitting there yelling back at us. Man, that was like my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, I didn't really start to warm up and mark out until the Cedric Alexander fight. Like that's when I lost my, because everybody was going against him, and I'm like, what did he do? You know, like fuck that. The guy is awesome. So I fucking popped and had people laughing. That was pretty funny. It was such a closed environment too, you know. So every seat was good, and whoever said something the loudest was able to sort of interact with the in-ring talent. And then we went home and watched Fastlane. Yeah. I think watching it again, I was able to take in more because I was able to sort of catch my bearings and sort of take in everything and take notes. And overall, man, if I was to give it like, you know, out of 10, man, I give it a solid 8. I think everyone came in and did their job. They worked hard. And, you know, the stories were told, and it was built like a Raw. I mean, that's what we're going to get with like all these events on the network, that they don't have they don't need to sort of give you this really super over the top reason to buy the pay-per-view. So with the network, they can give you more of like a Raw sort of atmosphere to it, you know, and I have to sort of take it with a grain of salt, but nevertheless, I'm not going to shit on it because of that. And I really thought that it was a good show. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I like the show. You know, I watched it one time, like you said, and I was kind of, you know, upset with the direction of things. And then I watched the last two matches again, and for what they were and the storyline they are telling, they did it the best they could. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nothing was left.
So like, regardless of how you feel about the direction, there's no argument that if that is the direction, they're doing a good job telling it.
I think there was only possibly one situation where they didn't advance a storyline, and we're getting into that into the interview. I guess it's the first match, but at this point in time, we are 33 days away from WrestleMania 31, and that's 3 weeks away. We could have done without a Fastlane. I would definitely say. I mean, it kind of was a glorified Raw, but nevertheless, it happened and everyone was happy. Fastlane from Memphis, and Jerry the King Lawler was actually on commentary. They brought him in because I guess they were in Memphis. Do you think if it wasn't in Memphis, the King would actually be there?
Well, seeing that they were at Nashville on Monday and the King wasn't there, I was going to say, yeah, I thought this was just his return back in, but I guess maybe he's just going to be just kind of like Jim Ross was in the last few years, like only showing up special occasions, maybe special times out of the year. And I really feel like that'll help Jerry stand out and actually be better, because when he comes on, he's going to be enthused. We're going to be enthused to listen to him, where he was kind of getting stale every week. And I do think that Booker T is better at this point.
And do you think he calls WrestleMania? Because if you're trying to develop the team of JBL, Booker T, and Michael Cole, there's no way in hell that someone like Booker T can't call WrestleMania, right?
I mean, I would say yeah, but I think maybe that's like why the entire reason they are going to use Jerry Lawler for is just to have him on these special events like Mania. So I can see them using him on Mania, but I don't think it's that good of an idea because, yeah, like you said, we need to develop Booker T, Cole, and JBL.
And I definitely prefer Booker T. He adds a whole different type of flavor to the. He adds a whole new flavor to the commentary, you know, and it's like him being like
it's enthusiasm.
Yeah, and just a different sauce. It's not stale, you know. I mean, not to sound, you know, like anything, but it doesn't sound so white and stiff, you know. Like it's just a whole new. It's a whole new direction of how things are, how it sort of sounds and packaged. Where before, you know, with Jerry the King, even though he's animated, he can never, or any other commentator for that matter can give this whole the dimension of sound that Booker T can give. That I applaud Corey Graves for what he's doing at NXT, because I think he stands out as well as this sort of like this standalone entity of a commentator. So I hope he comes up to SmackDown really, really soon. Honestly, that guy's good. And to be a newbie at this, he sounds like a natural. So let's go into Fastlane, and let's start off with the Miz TV interview with Paul Heyman. And basically, you know, it's Miz talking, asking questions, but it really boiled down to Paul Heyman addressing that whoever wins tonight actually loses, because you have to face the beast Brock Lesnar. And I definitely have to agree with him. Now, if I was in a position where Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, like, you know, breaking kayfabe, right? So why the fuck am I going to fight anyone? I don't care what the stakes are. Me, in my personal life, do not want to be even in the same room with Brock Lesnar, let alone having to fight him. That's crazy to me. But, you know, it's the storyline, it's wrestling, but nevertheless, kudos to whoever wants to fight that motherfucker, straight up.
I think, Heyman was great here. I think The Miz was great here. And then, but yeah, he's just making the obvious point of, like, this number one contender shot doesn't mean anything. Brock Lesnar's still the champ. You know, he beat Cena at SummerSlam. He beat Taker at Mania. So he's kind of rolling high, or rolling whatever. He's doing all right.
Yeah, and he's also the beast Brock Lesnar. So anyone who wants to face this guy, you're in for a death wish. I don't care how tough you are, how bad you are. You're still going in the ring with Brock Lesnar. And we get to the final part of this review, but I think honestly, it's going to shape up really well. The first match, which I think in itself was probably the one match that didn't really advance a storyline per se, say with all involved. It probably pushed one story, but everyone else is kind of left at the wayside. We have Dolph Ziggler, Ryback, and Rowan, the three loser amigos, and Big Show, Kane, and Rollins with J&J Security. So Dolph comes in with trunks that say DVR it. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, his trunks said DVR it. I seriously couldn't really read because I'm not trying to stare at his ass too much. But that's what it said. You had a good show from Rowan, some good new moves from him, some solid moves. And I was kind of taken aback by how well he performed in the ring and get his ass kicked and the selling of his leg injury. He was in the ring the bulk of the time. The Authority win with this really awesome sequence where Kane sort of powers Ziggler over outside of the ring, where the Big Show runs over and gives him the punch. And then Kane gives him a choke slam, and Ziggler gets pinned. So the Authority win. This is what we both predicted. At the end, they curb stomp everyone. The crowd yells for Orton, and Orton comes in with the save and RKOs everybody, and Rollins escapes not only from the ring, not only from the arena, but into the parking lot.
Yeah, I really like that. I think this match is going to be awesome at Mania, Rollins versus Orton. I'm sure we've seen it before in a Raw, but I think a very drawn-out Mania match is going to be great. Rollins is definitely doing real well, and I think Randy Orton fresh and over more than ever with this whole like RKO meme and everything going on. It's going to be a great Mania match, and it's probably going to get the crowd pretty hyped for, say the real main events happening later on in the card.
But how do you feel about the match? And how do you feel about the outcome? Because here's the thing. Ziggler gets pinned by Kane, of all people. Well, the sequence was awesome. The sequence was really awesome. I think I predicted Rowan getting the pin, but I said if they actually got Ziggler on his back is to sort of troll the Ziggler fan base. But Kane gets the pin. Nothing advances with him. Nothing advances with Rowan. Nothing really advances with Ryback. Nothing really advances with Show and Kane. But you out of it all, you got the Randy Orton, Seth Rollins story, and then the match itself. How do you feel about the match? And then what I just spoke of in terms of the story, the other stories, potential stories, not even a whiff of anything moving forward.
I think first match in a WWE show really doesn't advance a whole lot. So to see a Randy Orton storyline play out on the first show, and just to get everyone in there to get all those bodies out there on the pay-per-view to get the crowd hype, I think that's really why they brought him out there and did the 6-man. And as far as Roman, Kane, and Big Show, I really don't want to see too much of them on Mania, so I guess I didn't really pay too much attention that their storylines weren't progressing on Mania. But yeah, as far as Ziggler getting pinned, I mean, it sucks, but I don't know. It's a 6-man to open the show. I don't really think it means too much about where they think Kane is as opposed to where they think Ziggler is.
If I was to say one thing to sort of backtrack on what my predictions were, I thought it would have been interesting to have some sort of feud between Ryback and Ziggler, but that didn't take place. And I'm really happy that the Goldberg chants at Ryback are gone. Something I've been wanting for a while. He went in and had a really good showing, but it's good to see that. Those chants are dead. He's better than that. I wish the WWE actually would have ran with him and Rusev with a sort of storyline, but they didn't do that. But him to be left off the Mania card is would be kind of a shame. I just hope post Mania they can do something with him. And the crowd in Memphis, they weren't that live for this, but then again, they weren't really that live for the whole show. I was listening to the Stone Cold podcast with Wade Keller, and they were mentioning something about the acoustics. It's being the problem where, people were talking about how they were there and how everyone was red hot, but for some reason it didn't translate into the actual tape or the actual pay-per-view. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it could have been a better match if the acoustics were good. So the next match moving forward, was the Dust Brothers facing one another, and them trying to tell that story of the two sort of separating and feuding. It was the first time hearing the theme from Goldust for a while, because since they've been a tag team, they've been coming in on Stardust's theme. We get a shirtless Stardust, and he's announced from the fifth dimension. Apparently he's getting called. I think it's pretty interesting that his girlfriend is calling, doing the what do you call it? The ring announcements. She's so hot. But before the match goes in, they show a backstage segment with Goldust and Dusty Rhodes, and Dusty pleads for Goldust not to hurt Dusty. Gold's plans to bring Cody back. He's talking about how he's going to beat him so bad that he doesn't want to wear paint again. And then when we go into the match, the crowd is playing along with the idea that Cody doesn't like to be called Cody, and he's acting it up really well. What he's doing with this character is really awesome. You have a JBL explaining the sibling rivalry aspect of all the previous siblings getting into the ring and why people shouldn't be surprised that this is going on. He also explains how Cody's lost in his character, how he wears the paint at home. And then they're telling a story. You could tell that Dusty is in character is kind of holding back from hurting Stardust, but he's also, but after he hesitates, He's kind of relentless. They know each other's moves. There's a lot of counters. And Goldust gets the win with a crucifix roll-up, but with a really strange three count. Really not like the referee's sort of wrist hits, and you think that it's a kick out, but the referee sort of pulls up and calls for the bell for the victory for Goldust. Your thoughts?
I really like this match. The feud was great. Stardust won?
Goldust won. It was a crucifix, a strange 3 count. He kind of pulls up.
That's right.
And I was hoping that was going to be a more or less dirt dog showing for Stardust, just be really, really like dirty out there and give us like this really old school kind of a match, but that didn't happen. It was very, very, very slow. And then I think at one point you got some asshole that was yelling boring right at the very end, like boring. And then he did it again, and then they decided to sort of call the match after that. I don't know whether it was because of that guy chanting that, but nevertheless, it still came up kind of weird how the 3 count went down. My suspicion is that I think they're going to play on the ref sort of getting paid by Dusty Rhodes to sort of call the match early, or what have you. I think that's what kind of turns into, because there's a shot of Dusty before the 3 count, and then after that shot, he sort of pulls up. The ref pulls up on the 3rd count. You have anything else you want to say about this match?
Yeah, it was good, but it was quick. We just wanted to see more of the feud, and I guess that's what we're getting. So I guess it did what it was supposed to do, and I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it, all right. I did too, but I guess Mania will be. We didn't need this match. I think
for sure. If this was a Mania match, like if it was going to be this quick in Mania, I'm going to be pretty upset. But since I understand it just to draw out maybe for a longer match at Mania, maybe a match with like a stipulation involved at Mania, then I'm fine with it,
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I guess if this is going to be the last match for Dusty and for him to sort of go backstage and do more executive work, then I guess that stipulation would be like retirement match or winner leaves town kind of a thing. So I guess we'll have to see. Again, those two are like my favorites on the roster. So I'm anticipating, and I hope they build the story in the next 2 weeks where Dusty sort of admits that he's the reason why the count was as weird as it was, and so on and so forth. After that, we go to the whole rivalry between Seth Rollins and Jon Stewart, and they showed the Jon Stewart video of him doing his promo on Seth Rollins for calling him out about how he would do a better show than he would, and they showed back and forth Jon Stewart's response. Very fun. Did we talk about this last week or no? Or did we talk about this in the prediction show or not?
I'm not sure, but I think it's pretty funny. Maybe do you think Jon Stewart's going to be at Mania? That would be definitely like the hippest celebrity that they've gotten in a while. I guess other than like Floyd Mayweather.
Hip.
I know he's like just like a news guy, but he's just retiring and he's like on a pretty successful cable show. Yeah.
My thoughts, I was listening to it. I got another perspective from listening to the Stone Cold podcast with Wake. If you haven't heard that yet, go back and listen to it. They do their own review of the pay-per-view of Fastlane, which is very insightful. Just listening to Stone Cold and how he feels, but he brought up the idea that, look, if you're running with Seth Rollins and you're going to give him this, give him the briefcase, shoot him to the moon, put him in these really hot storylines, and he's your top heel. Do not throw it all away. by pulling Andy Kaufman on, or by teaming him up with Jon Stewart and making his run a joke. And I partly want to agree with them. I partly want to agree because that would happen. His push would be considered almost a wash, a joke, because you got Jon Stewart, who has nothing to do with wrestling other than the fact he's a big fan, coming in and basically showing up Rollins, and Rollins would basically have to sell for Jon Stewart. Let's just say he got physical with him.
I do not see Jon Stewart wrestling. I see something more like maybe a segment on Raw where Randy Orton has to come to the aid of Jon Stewart or something like that. I don't see Jon Stewart in the ring after all this. I just see them building to just like a funny segment on Raw. It's just a bunch of tweets and selfies and stuff, right?
Yeah. Or I see your point, but like for some reason they got to make it. And this is going to be the booking of Vince and Kevin Dunn, and the idea of, do you remember, who was it? That the guy who played Wolverine, who basically got a good lick on Ziggler, and Ziggler had to sell for this actor for this punch.
Oh, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like something like that would probably happen. And if that did, it would be not in the best interest of Seth Rollins to have to be in that sort of situation, but I also see the huge turnover of Jon Stewart fans watching the product. And do they want to see him get physical? I would most probably think they would, just for shits and giggles. And I go, well, I don't want what I love to be considered shits and giggles.
Well, I mean, they could set it up. It hasn't happened yet, and they could set it up differently, where maybe like Randy Orton holds Rollins, and after Randy Orton, they could set it up where they protect everybody, and they could still see Jon Stewart hit, Seth Rollins, or maybe come in with a chair or something to distract him.
Yeah, we haven't seen Jon Stewart act in quite some time, so whatever acting role they give him this, I hope he's able to pull it off. After this spot, they go backstage to Dusty and Goldust talking, and then Stardust kind of shows up and is like, "Oh, I wasn't invited to the party," and then he basically just hands Goldust a new one, and then he jumps in Dusty Rhodes' face. And he's like, you killed Cody when you sent this bag of bones, this, stuck in Attitude Era guy to team with me, to ruin me. Cody is dead because, and he's talking to Dusty, Cody is dead because you killed Cody. And I no longer live in your shadow, you live in mine. So, things are really starting to heat up with this. I thought it was a really well done segment, and I'm proud of Cody to be able to be in a situation like this. I hope afterwards there's a huge payoff for everyone, not only Dustin or Goldust, but for Stardust, for him moving forward in his career as Stardust, or maybe going back to Cody Rhodes, possibly facing Finn Balor. But even for Dusty, we'll just see what happens. The next thing is the next match is the Usos with Naomi versus Cesaro, Kid with Natty for the tag team championships. And just so how the match goes, they work on Jay's leg at first. The pace picks up. Great chemistry between tag team chemistry between Cesaro and Kid, but it's not really the smoothest of all matches. Kid gets the win with the family gradadle. Hello?
Yeah, he gets the win. I just remember this was kind of when I was.
What is that move called?
Oh, I'm not too sure. I'm very bad at remembering finishing move names.
Nathan knows the name. We went over that name. Even Fritz told me what it was. He said that shit was like with a something family gradadle, and they get the clean win and Cesaro and Kid are the new tag team champions. And as they're backing up the rope, you got the making out between Kid and Natty, and Cesaro looking at it and sort of like giving it the stink eye. And every time they kissed, Cesaro would basically pull Kid off of her, which I thought was very funny after the match was done. But what were you saying about the match?
It was pretty awesome, I would say. Like, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro definitely deserve the tag titles. They're definitely the best tag team. Like, I think it's like a joke to really put them on anyone else if you just watch the in-ring. And then they also did that spot, like the deadlift superplex to the outside and onto a springboard frog splash, which is, you know, definitely the best, I would say, tag team finisher since, like, maybe the Doomsday Device in the WWE or something like that. Like, this is a tag team to be reckoned with. This is my favorite part of Raw every week. I'm glad they have the titles.
But wouldn't you think they would have actually gave him that spot to do that as the finisher rather than that grenadal thing to sort of showcase who they are as a tag team? Now, again, it took me watching this again to realize that it wasn't the smoothest of matches. They were off a little bit, and you could see it. Even though it was high energy and I think it got the crowd awake, there were spots that could have been a lot smoother. Do you agree, or did you go back and watch that?
I didn't watch. I only watched it the one time, so I mean, I guess I didn't watch it like as intently as you did. But I mean, I'm not sure what's up with that. It seemed entertaining at the time. I don't know.
Well, they have the belts now, and I think for the last podcast of predictions, and I was talking about how the tag team belt actually takes away storyline from you, and they focus on whoever's chasing it. I just hope that this isn't in the case for Cesaro and Kid, even though they're your boys. I'm definitely one half of that. I'm definitely Team Cesaro, but depending on what they do in storyline for these guys with the belts is going to be interesting because it's been a very long time that we had a tag team championship, tag team champion since Team Hell No that actually had a developing storyline with the belts. You see what I'm saying? And then I'm still like hoping for maybe you're not, but an adultery sort of thing or love triangle between Cesaro, Kid, and Natty. Oh yeah, before we move forward, I just wanted to say, if you're still listening, this podcast will be in 2 parts, by the way. I don't think we addressed that. Did we address that earlier?
I don't think so.
Okay, but yeah, so this is going to be in 2 parts. This will be the Fastlane review and conversation, and then after this there'll be a separate upload of the Raw review. So I just want to throw that out there, just in case we didn't say that at the beginning. Moving on to the next segment, it is the Sting Triple H face-off. Triple H in street clothes, which is pretty. He's always in a suit so much that when I see him in street clothes, it's almost weird. Let alone maybe possibly in trunks, because we haven't seen him in trunks in a year, which is interesting.
I would say since the Shield Evolution feud.
Well, he was at WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, but after that was the Shield Revolution feud.
Oh yeah, you're right. So it's probably like a year on the
8-9 months. Yeah.
So to go over what this face-off is, pathetically, the crowd did not pop like they should. I mean, I'll say straight off the top, you got Triple H in street clothes for one. You got him basically setting the premise is for him to set up this match for WrestleMania between him and Sting. We've only seen Sting come in and do saves. We haven't actually seen him in the ring doing anything, standing or anything. So this is the first time we get exposure to him. His music hit, he comes out, and I'm thinking, being that it's Memphis, being where this is where he basically got his start, that you got some old school, sort of true school Memphis heads that are just going to be in the fucking stratosphere going nuts over this guy, right? Nope, not at all. And then we get one poor sap in the ring who is saying WCW, WCW. And, you know, I think that same guy was like, he started in Memphis. And it's just like, you know, Memphis needed to step his game up for this. And it's sad. I think in Philadelphia or say even in Greensboro, we probably would have lost our shit, man. I don't know.
Oh, definitely. Well, I think he got. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got started in California with the Dingo Warrior, with the Ultimate Warrior and everything. But yeah, he might have spent a little time in Memphis. He definitely spent a lot of time there in WCW. He's definitely a bigger deal to get like a standing ovation. But
I think the Sting thing was the fact that he started his rivalry with Ric Flair in Memphis with Crockett, and you know, Sting's discovery is I would consider it to be Crockett Promotions. I was watching it as a kid, you know. And
for sure. But well, the Memphis territory was like Jerry Lawler and everything. Crockett was just the Mid-Atlantic region. They didn't go. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. But So to go over just play-by-play of the actual shoot, basically, this is what this is. You have Triple H basically backtracking and saying that he wasn't WWE, but he was the heartbeat of WWE. And that's basically what he said before Sting shows up. You say you don't like the music too much for Sting, right?
I wish it was just the old WCW entrance. I don't like that like squawking thing they do. I don't know. They kind of added like these little like squawks. I think that's kind of cheesy.
Well, it's like the tortured soul music. You know, it's like the music is like tortured soul, and that's what I get out of it. I think listening to it for a very long time, because this is probably the most we've heard of it. You know, most of that we've heard. I think it's fitting, but I think I wish it had more energy to it. You know, so you could react to the music being sort of like this badass sort of thing rather than this tortured soul music. That's my only thing. But yeah, one guy chanted WCW. Triple H starts to talk when he gets into the ring, and he's talking about how he was the guy who sunk with the ship of WCW, and that, you know, he reiterated before that he was the guy who was part of bringing down WCW, but to sum it up, and that he not only was a failure, WCW was a failure, but also Sting was a failure. Failure is what you do. And then he starts to negotiate with them. I could give you your legacy back if you want to do business, kind of a thing. Action figures, pay-per-view spots, network specials, and Hall of Fame, right? You know, and he's circling around him, which I thought was pretty awesome, showing of Triple H trying to be sort of this like the snake with the fruit, trying to tempt, you know. And Sting played his role really well by just sort of taking it all in. He doesn't say anything the entire time. And then Triple H kind of gets flustered because he's talking about his legacy. I can do all these great things for your legacy. And then Triple H gets flustered because of Sting's sort of non-reaction and silence. And then he threatens to destroy the legacy because he has this snarky look on his face, and you stand there like you're better than me or some shit like that. And you can see him taking his jacket, and he's about to basically like, he's talking about how he's going to kick his ass. And then right around the time, like right at the end of him talking, he tries to get a cheap shot in. Sting blocks, and then they sort of go at it. Not much of a pop for them going at it. And I'm just like, dude, come on, guys. Get into it. He gets Sting down enough to go grab his sledgehammer from underneath the ring. The camera's on him, so we don't know what's happening with Sting. But when he comes back in with the sledgehammer, Sting comes in with the bat. We finally get the bat, like finally we get the bat. And he basically backs him into the corner. Triple H drops the sledgehammer, and Sting, with him backed into the corner with the bat at his jugular, points at WrestleMania, the WrestleMania sign. And then after that back and forth is done and Sting walks away, Triple H tries to attack him from the back. Sting hits him with the bat and hits him with the death drop. And basically sets up the match between Sting and Triple H for WrestleMania 31. So all he wants, eat a dick with all your temptations and things you want to do with me. I just want to fight you at WrestleMania. And the idea of Sting on a WrestleMania to me is just like, oh my God, who would have ever thunk? Oh, and you're a big Sting fan. You speak on this. You're a bigger Sting fan than I am.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty awesome. This is, I guess, but like growing up as a kid, I guess in North Carolina, like WCW was like a bigger deal than WWE, and in like the early '90s when I was like a little kid, like Power Rangers and like Sting was definitely just like the superheroes. And like going into like the mid 2000s when I was like a little snarkier, like teenager, like Triple H was definitely the main heel. So this is like, this match alone is like the ultimate evil versus the ultimate good guy, in my opinion, in pro wrestling. Sting better win. That's all I'm saying.
I know. When he went for, like, I think Fritz looked at you. He's like, all right, don't flip anything over. Because
Sting is. I'm just saying, like, Sting whooped his ass at Survivor Series and whooped his ass now at Fastlane. So it's pretty obvious who's got the upper hand in this. I think this is going to be WCW's last hurrah. Think about Sting, dude. It's fucking Sting. Remember him and Vader, the strap match? Where, just watch the strap match with him and Vader. The first Clash of Champions, him and Flair. When he beat Hogan for the title. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I have to watch all those matches again. But yeah, I do remember Sting but I'm more of an All-American Sting fan than I was the Crow Sting. When he was wearing basically the Warriors paint, and he was wearing the bright colors, and he had the afro, and it's just like Showtime, and like that was, well, as a kid, that was my Sting, And I did like the stuff with the Crow and all, but it didn't make, maybe because I was a little bit older. But the impact of All-American Sting is everything to me. Like that was gold to me. It was like the ultimate babyface. And, you talk about like kids loving Cena, that was my Cena, and I imagine there was a bunch of older dudes or marks back in the 80s that was just like, fuck this happy-go-lucky son bitch. And I was just like, nah, dude, Sting rules,
no, that
man.
Was, yeah.
Stinger Splash, man.
That was definitely going down with like him and Flair and him and Arn Anderson. Sting was definitely the Cena of the day, wrestling like all these legends.
Don't you dare call the Scorpion Deathlock the fucking
sharpshooter.
Don't you dare call it a sharpshooter around me. What sharp? What? That's the Sting. That's the Stinger Deathlock, baby. And to this day, and if he locks that fucker on. He does the Stinger Splash, and then he locks that son bitch on the Triple H, man. You're gonna talk about a dude losing his mind. Have whoever Fritz have his if your dad have him to have his phone ready to watch us mark out and hug and fucking like just Tasmanian devil the place, man. Because I'm gonna go fucking bonkers. But yeah, they don't make it official yet, but basically you get the sense that that's what's going to go down. The next match was, by the way, oh man, just to sort of backtrack a little bit. So in terms of wins and losses, we both said that we both got the win for, we both got the right prediction for the Dolph Ryback, Rowan Show, Kane, Rollins match, right?
Yeah, you got one win and I have 3 wins.
So we both said that was a win. Goldust, I said that Stardust was going to win, right?
Yeah, and I picked Goldust, and then I picked Kid and Cesaro, and you picked the Usos.
Yes. So okay, and so we're up to Paige versus Nikki, a 5-minute match. A 5-minute match. I mean, a solid 5-minute match for the Divas belt. So if I would go, blow by blow, there's one moment, and this is the miking of the ring, I guess, and the camera work, which I think they could have did a better job, because during the night, and it started here, they were calling moves, and there's a point in the match where they sort of get outside the ring. I think not outside the ring. Paige goes outside the ring to sort of do her knee, where her hair goes back and forth, and she's sending the knee to to Nikki's forehead. But there's a point where she goes, "Block my leg," and I'm like, what the fuck? Ugh! It just rubbed me the wrong way. Nikki hits Paige with the Alabama Slam. That got a pop from me, and JBL goes nuts. She also does a good snapmare power bomb to reverse a off the rope move that she was going to get set up by Paige for. She gets under her and she does it looked good. They're trying to put over the past couple of matches. Have you noticed that Nikki's been more of like a power wrestler? Not necessarily a move specialist, but more or less like suplexes, slams, and the rack attack and shit. Have you noticed that?
Not particularly, other than the rack attack. I did notice that's more of like a power move. But I mean, the only thing I really noticed about Nikki matches is they're real quick. I don't know much analyzation other than that.
But she's been put in a very her last couple of matches, a lot of power moves, and I think that's because Cena's been training her and things of that nature. So there's an attempted PTO where she can't catch on to her legs, to her arms, because Nikki's pretty tall. It looks good on a shorter person. She's able to reach. They played that story really well, and how Nikki got out of that, because she's very lengthy. And then breaking from the PTO, which I think is the greatest submission hold on the main roster right now. Nikki gets in a schoolgirl roll-up with a handful of tights for the win. She retains the belt, and then they do the replay with the new turnbuckle cam, turnbuckle pole cam. Your thoughts on this match?
It's okay. You can't really expect much from the Bellas.
Well, I think for what it did, I knew Nikki was going to win because she's hot. I think it was a classic heel win. They're going toe to toe the whole time, and then it took the very end for her to show her, just a true heel sort of tactic. A handful of tights,
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, getting her over as a power wrestler. I think they pulled that off. The fact that she's, I don't know. I think it could have been a clean win, but at the same time, I applaud the fact that Nikki being a heel, they decide to go with the grabbing of the tights. We also get a wardrobe malfunction by Paige. Her top sort of breaks from the bottom, and you see her grab for her breast to see if it's been exposed. That was pretty funny. And then the new turnbuckle. I mean, the turnbuckle cam, I thought it was pretty cool to sort of get it, but I don't see what importance it is to sort of debut this idea of a new cam, what have you, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So you got nothing much to say about that?
I mean, I'll have to watch it again. I just thought it was real quick. I thought all these matches were kind of real quick to get to some of these other matches, like these 3 main event matches, But other than the title change, that's all that really kind of stood out to me for this undercard. And then, of course, Randy Orton and Sting coming back.
Okay. And then after that match, it became official. Triple H versus Sting. They made it official. They showed the graphic. Triple H versus Sting at WrestleMania 31. And then we move on to the Dean Ambrose versus Bad News Barrett. I'm sick of calling him Bad News Barrett. I wish he would go back to Wade Barrett for the IC belt. It's a good back and forth match. Barrett does the whole heel tactic of trying to leave before the match is done. He grabs his belt and he tries to escape, and then Ambrose gets him back and unleashes the fury on his ass. He gets him in the corner, the classic. Ref tries to pull him off after the count of 5. Ambrose keeps stomping away. Ref calls the match in favor of Barrett. Basically, Ambrose is DQ'd, and then afterwards, Ambrose hits the dirty deeds on Barrett and steals the belt. Your thoughts?
I thought it was kind of funny that he stole the belt. I picked Bad News to win, but for some reason, I think going in, I saw Dean Ambrose winning at the time of the show. I thought it was a good match. I think this feud's kind of hilarious, especially Dean Ambrose stealing the belt. I think that's kind of awesome. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Another classic heel move of him trying to fuck this match. I'm out of here. Give me my belt. As old of a stick that is, very much like a handful of tights. It never gets old to me. I think it's just a logarithm. You really want to showcase someone's who they are as a heel of the face. It takes those little things. Just like you remember the match between I think it was Jay and Cesaro, and at the end Tyson Kidd gets a cheap shot on Jimmy at the end of the match to sort of show the whole okay, we are the bad guys, and a little thing would just show you that you're not supposed to cheer for us. Just a little thing. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
That was something that you actually put in perspective. The good cheap shot at the end. I don't know. I thought it was cool. And then Ambrose still in the belt because he is a badass. Something like that definitely pushes the story forward. I think the two of them have good chemistry in the ring. I think it's good to see Wade Barrett because I think he's a really good, big, solid wrestler. And Ambrose and him have, outside of, say, what he did with Bray Wyatt and the whole kind of street fights, he's also a good in-ring guy. And Wade being an in-ring guy, it was a different type of Ambrose we got, and it was kind of refreshing, But yeah, the stealing of the belt, it's him hitting dirty deeds. I don't think he needed to do that, but stealing the belt, I think, was pretty cool. And they played up on it on Raw.
And just to keep up, we're at Peter's at 3 now, and I'm at 5. We both guessed that Nikki would win, and then we both guessed that the Bad News would beat Dean.
Well, I think within our prediction, I was like, there's no way. Well, you don't want Ambrose with the belt, even though he lost, and I said he would lose because he doesn't deserve to get near the belt. He takes the belt, so he's very much near it.
yeah, that's the only way to get him over with the belt, if he just takes it.
Yeah, he takes it and holds it hostage. I think the last time we had a quote-unquote title was I think it was Cody Rhodes. Was it? Yeah, it was Cody Rhodes took the Money in the Bank. No. He took the money. That's the thing about Ambrose. Ambrose's a thief, man. He took the Money in the Bank from Seth Rollins. He's a fucking thief. And JBL sells that shit. He puts that shit over like white on rice, man. He's a thief. We just saw a felony. He always stealing stuff. So, don't don't leave anything around Dean Ambrose. He will take that shit. His fucking him and Emma should be dating, I guess, not him and I know low blow Renee Young. So we get the all of a sudden the lights go out and we hear Undertaker's music and we get the smoke and we get the visuals and we get the Druids coming out. And the crowd, probably the most noise out of the crowd we got the entire night. And the crowd seemed sort of chaotic, like, oh my God, what's going on? You know, they kind of, you know, like it was like a chaotic sort of like, what the fuck feeling? Because I don't think it was on the card that Undertaker was showing up and everyone seemed pretty fucking excited. The gong hits, big pop, almost a pop of the night, honestly. The Druid comes out with the casket. Me, you, and you know, it's funny because we're like, we're not taking this seriously. So me, you, and Fritz, we're, you know, while we're watching it, we're like, guess who's coming out of the casket? What if this person? What if this person? The last person we even imagined would come out would be Undertaker. So the casket comes out. It comes to the ring. Wyatt pops out. The room, the air is taken out of the room like you wouldn't believe. You just hear this huge gasp, which is bigger than the pop it got, and a bunch of boos. He spits a promo on Taker. He finally makes it clear that he's talking to Taker. The bullet points. I once feared you now. I once feared you. Once you were feared, sorry guys. Once you were feared, and now you're weak like everyone else. Your soul is lost. I'm on a mission to send you home because I don't fear you no more. I am Bray Wyatt, the new face of fear, and I'm going to claim your soul at WrestleMania 31. Your takes on this ruse, so to speak.
I think it's pretty awesome. Like Undertaker for the last few years has wrestled like big names. Like people have already like established themselves, like CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Triple H. So now he's wrestling Bray. Like even to be in the ring with him, it is a pretty good rub. So even if Taker does get his win back on Bray, I think it's going to elevate Bray up. So Bray went from Cena to Taker, which is pretty awesome. I think they need to then develop Bray into maybe winning the title after this or doing something like that, maybe against Roman Reigns if they're going to go that direction.
We'll see. I mean, I see Taker losing and then facing Sting at WrestleMania 32 because Sting wants his ass. Don't give up yet. You can face me at WrestleMania, and he gets his win back over Sting at WrestleMania 32. But one can only tell. I think it was a great. It did the job. It made Wyatt into a real asshole, a real heel. You know, another demonstration of the boo the man, that he's a jerk and he's an asshole. You know, like. Yeah, I don't know. I think they did that really well. So next up would be the reaction from the pre-show panel with Renee Young, Graves, Baron Saxton, and Booker T. Sucks he's not on the panel, Booker T, but, give King whatever. Not much to really go over, but it's basically their reaction to what's happened in the match. The last two matches we got coming up. First one starts with Rusev versus Cena. What did you expect out of this match?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what I expected. I picked Cena because I always just go with Cena. But I didn't really know what they were going to do. It's kind of cool. Like I just said, like Taker going against Bray, like Rusev going against Cena is kind of like that. And I mean, I definitely didn't expect what they did with Cena. I guess he passed out, but they're saying he tapped out, and that's kind of like how he's getting his heel heat or his reaction from the crowd.
It's very much like the match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. This whole sort of stoppage of the match and this, that, and the other. It's all technicality, and I think it's kind of a waste of time to sort of play into the whole. Cena didn't tap out. He didn't give up because he never gives up. This, that, and the other. I feel like Cena should have more heat with the ref than he should with Rusev and the thing. But blow-by-blow review of the actual match. Weak USA chants. Because they're focusing more on Cena sucks chants. You know, and I'm like, God damn it, man. Like, fuck. Memphis? Like, dude, it's fucking... Never mind. Anyway, so... it's a good match, man. Like, seeing those two just go blow for blow, it's just like, you got two lugs in there. Rusev's really athletic. Cena's, just giving this good match. They're going back and forth. No one really holds really an advantage, and it goes to show that Cena can actually put on a good match. Rusev is actually like, he's a badass. There's a point where it seems like the crowd is like cheering for everything else, and then they start rooting for King, and Rusev sort of looks at King and starts like giving him grief. Like, it's just pretty funny. And then finally USA chants show up. There's a spot where I was talking earlier about like the calling of the matches and the mics, and several times Cena was calling for moves. You could hear him talking in the ring. I was like, dude, like, y'all need to do a better job. You can see his lips moving. And then they JBL tries to sort of make up for it. It's like, oh, Cena's so out of it that he's talking to himself. And that became like the theme of the commentary. Oh, talking to themselves. You can see that they're just trying to cover up. But Cena's calling all the moves. A surprise wrestling move from Rusev. He hits a DDT. I don't think we've ever seen him actually do a wrestling move. A lot of slams, a lot of kicks, a lot of punches, but he actually does a DDT in this match. He breaks out of 2 STFs, and he breaks out of an AA. Excellent accolade battle where Cena's put into the accolade, and, they play the story up. Cena's trying to escape. He keeps grabbing his arm to latch it in. Cobra clutch, as Fritz would say. I apologize. Cobra clutch. He's doing it excellent. I mean, this match is toe to fucking toe. And then as soon as Cena powers out of the Cobra clutch, also known as the accolade or acolyte, Lana gets up on the ring, gets the ref's distraction. Rusev uses as an opportunity to kick him in the nuts, the low blow, the eye pop like crazy. He puts the accolade Cobra clutch back on, where Cena proceeds to pass out. Rusev retains and still undefeated, and they leave. The flag comes out. They leave victorious. Cena staggers out. He wakes up. And they sort of do like a swan song, walking out of him, sort of trying to catch his bearings. You make it seem like, oh man, Cena lost. Like, what's up? Everyone's like, gas, blah, 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 blah. Another sick heel move. I was so happy that happened. But, toe to toe. I mean, there was no reason for Rusev actually to do the low blow in order to basically end the match if he was tired. I'm tired of going blow for blow. If he didn't do that, he could have beat Cena clean. But nope, we had to remind everybody that he's the heel. He took Lana finally, earns her money, the kick to the nuts, and I couldn't ask for a better match. I almost like to think that this is a match of the night. It's great. I can't speak anything more. I can't put this match over anymore. I'll let you say your piece.
I had to rewatch it, so I already knew like the outcome when I was fully paying attention to it, and it seemed it was good. It was good. Yeah, you were saying like the crowd seemed to be more to Cena. They weren't even chanting USA. I guess they weren't even expecting Cena to lose, so that was kind of cool, good swerve. And I want to see where they go with it into Mania. I think they're going to bring Hogan into the feud, and Hogan's going to be in Cena's corner. Yeah, I want to see like the dynamic of like Hogan, Cena, and then you can have like Hogan do his, spots with Lana, like popping the crowd, and then you could do like Cena and stuff, and then you have Hogan in the ring at the end. I
don't know. I think Hogan's not needed because Hogan's not needed because it would just make Cena look weak for some reason. And I don't think that it wouldn't do any kind of, I mean, if they were to bring out someone who's like, USA, I don't know. Let's just say that they do a whole thing with like Jack Swagger and Mark Henry, who went up against him, who failed, and they're like basically coaching up Cena, not necessarily in his corner, but like just coaching him up as they build towards WrestleMania. Look, dude, like here's what I've gotten out of my matches with him, and here's his weaknesses. You could do this. You could do this for America. You could do this for this. I think it would make things, I think, seem a little more dependent on the idea that Cena is still standing on his own, but he's relying on help from his friends to sort of get him through it. Yeah. But we were talking in the predictions, or I think it was like a conversation that we had, or maybe it was with Headliner 5. What up, Nate? How I was listening to PW Torch, and one of the guys was talking about how Cena had to go out. And that was partly what happened. Like, dude, he puts that fucking Cobra clutch in, and he leans back on that fucker, and he just like doesn't let go, you know, like just, and to really, really make Cena look, you know, to make, not necessarily make Cena look weak, but make Rusev look really brutally strong. I love the low blow, part of it. But I did not agree with him getting off of Cena as soon as they called the match. He kind of rolled off with a victory roll, you know, arms in the air. He should have held on to it just 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds, you know? Give me 5 seconds of him holding that fucker on, you know? And I think it would have made more of an effect to the actual match. What do you think?
I see what you're saying there. Yeah, I definitely think that would help hold on, like healing out a little more. But then I also think it's like maybe they were thinking that they needed this to get out of there while people were still in shock, because then that would add more to it. So I think either way they went with it. But yeah, I mean, I could see that helping if they just kind of healed out, maybe get a few refs out there or something to break it up.
But not even that, like have the ref actually just kind of pry him off a little bit, you know, or have Lana come in and be like, get off of him, you know, something, you know.
Yeah. That would be good. That would be good. Yeah.
Like her in his face, you know, like you weak American, you know, and then finally she's like, get off of him, you know, just something, you know. I think if Sister Sherry was out there, like Sherry was out there, she would have got in Cena's face like, yeah, how's it feel, you fucking bastard, you know, that would have been awesome. Bring back Sherry, hashtag bring back Sherry. So, and here's the main event. Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns.
Well, I think Sherry has actually passed away.
Oh.
R.I.P. Sherry, Hall of Famer.
Sorry, dude. That was hashtag RIP. Sherry. I feel like an idiot. Let me take that out of my and move on to the main event. They went back to the panel, but fuck them. Main event. I turn to you, man, and I go, man, this actually feels like a big fight. You know, this feels like as big of a big fight feel than say the triple threat with Cena, Rollins, and Brock Lesnar. And I was really anticipating this. We all sat back attentive, and you know, before I go into the play-by-play, what do you think? How did you come into this match? What were your hopes? What were your expectations? And
I hope Bryan was going to win. I thought it was going to turn into some kind of three-way. I honestly did not think Roman Reigns was going to win, because I thought, like, what was up with doing the match? Just to like tease it just a little more, or like, you know, just like, and then you just leave Bryan high and dry for Mania. You don't really have a storyline for him. So that's kind of, I don't see I guess that's, you know, it's whatever. Didn't really, I don't think it's going to be that good of a match, Mania against Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. So I honestly wanted to see something else.
Oh, God.
I don't know, this is bumming me out talking about it, man.
Nah, it shouldn't bum you out. You should be excited, dude. You should be excited. It's fresh water. It's fresh blood in the water, and we're going to get a good match we've never seen before between two fucking juggernauts. And it's going to be just fine, dude. It's going to be fine. I went in thinking that, Reigns was going to win with, and I'm glad they didn't do that with Sheamus interference. I'm glad that didn't happen. Because I do want Reigns going in looking strong. I do. I want to believe that this match at WrestleMania is going to be a badass match and Roman's performance in this match was what I expected. For the, play-by-play. So this is the main event for the WrestleMania 31 spot versus, Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This match itself was definitely power versus talent. And one of those, first there's a standoff, they're trying to feel each other out. But when the actual wrestling move was applied, which was going to be the surfboard, that was the first move, Reigns just breaks out of it with his legs like it was like, he just sort of bursted out like Super Saiyan level 3000, right? And he looks up, he has this fire in his eye, and Bryan he's thrown off, he backs into the corner, and he has this surprise, like, holy shit, this is what I'm in the ring with, And I think that really set the tone for the rest of this match, He didn't back down, but you could tell, like, Reigns is like, yeah, you're in the ring with a big boy now. And you can see the beam turning in Bryan's head, like, oh, I have to do something else to get through this match rather than trying to lock him up because he's obviously stronger than me. Did you get that sense?
Yeah, like Bryan kept trying to do some technical stuff with him, and then he kept throughout the match frustrated. Like toward the end, he was just like kicking his foot up, like making him trip and everything. So yeah, you definitely saw like the frustration in Bryan throughout the match because nothing was really working because of the the powerful Roman Reigns.
Yeah. And there's one leg lock that he gets Roman in that he fucking just breaks out with these vicious forearm shots. The change of the current in the match was a kick to the liver by Bryant to Reigns, and Reigns sells this like a champ to sort of bring up the whole hernia incident. The hernia incident that happened in Memphis, of all places. I don't know if you remember that, but that's what happened. I was talking about how in Memphis the women are all big, and he probably like hooked up with a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny. I just thought that right did, honestly. And then, he's selling his kidney and the hernia cell. Bryant takes advantage. The ref threatens to call the match. He's talking to him. You want to do this? This reminds me of the match between Brock Lesnar and who was it that he faced? It wasn't John Cena. It was someone else. Maybe it was CM Punk, where there was a spot outside of the ring where Brock Lesnar, like, he kind of goes in, his stomach goes into the edge of the announcer's table, and he sells his stomach being in total pain to sort of sell the idea that he was sick and that he had like issues with that whatever shit he had and stuff. But that's what it reminded me of. The ref gets in his face. Can you still wrestle? I'll call this match. Brian is like, get out of my way, ref. I'm gonna kick his ass. But and then, it's dude, this tells a great story, and Brian is not the only guy in this ring. Let me call the match rather than try to sound biased. Brian continues to work on the gut, and it's a classic Shawn Michaels thing. Just stay on the wounded area. And then I think in the midst of all of this, Brian gets hit with a Superman punch and kicks out of it. Reign kicks out of a running knee. Reigns breaks a yes lock while looking, and I don't know if you paid attention, but he's looking at the WrestleMania sign. He's like in the lock, and he's like just struggling. His eyes are fixated on the WrestleMania sign. He breaks out, more brutal forearms, man. It was fucking, I mean, like, dude, this was a fucking match, man. This was a brawl. And then that match ends with a running knee reversal met by a spear. Reigns wins. And, you know, Reigns wins, and, you know, Daniel Bryan, you know, gets his bearings or what have you. Then the post-match is, you know, you can see that there's still tension. I think Bryan gets up, he pushes Roman Reigns, and then he gets in his face, puts his finger in his chest, and says, "You better kick Brock Lesnar's ass." Bryan and Reigns shake hands, and Bryan leaves. You leave Roman Reigns in the ring, and so Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for WrestleMania 31. Your take on this match?
This was a good match. This, for what it was a good match. We'll see what the future holds. Maybe they're going to do a good job with, like, I mean, Lesnar's a great worker. Paul Heyman's a great talker, so I think there's going to be a good build-up. So I guess we'll see what happens with the main event. The main event's the main event, what it is right now. So let's, you know,
but the match itself, I mean, it told an awesome story. I mean, Bryan went in and he did the job. I made Reigns look great, but Reigns had to put in some effort to make this match as good as it was, right? I mean, what did you think of his performance?
I definitely think, I mean, when you said it, one's like the more talented one, so you, like when you're watching the match, one was kind of like controlling it, like controlling the, I don't know, I just thought it was a good, I mean, it was a good match, totally good story, man.
You don't want to admit to anything, do you? You just want to be like, fuck Roman, Bryan should have won, and that's it.
Well, yeah, I've already said that before, though, so I'm trying to, like, just think of it in another perspective. I already know, like, that is what happened. There's no point in, like, bringing it up.
No, so, it is the point. I'm trying to get you to give kudos. You're not even going to give him kudos. No kudos.
It was an all right match. No, man, I think, well, if you wanted just to put a big guy against Brock Lesnar.
Same match, and Bryan goes over. Same match and Bryan goes over. Then what?
It would not have been a better match, that particular match, but it would have been a better Mania match with Bryan and Lesnar.
Oh God, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know that?
Why?
Because you're a nerd. That's why.
I mean, I'm cool with Roman winning. That he won, you know, whatever. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, you know. It's not my company, Vince. You know, it would definitely be a more over match if you had Bryan Lesnar. We would have and the UFC.
I want the David versus Goliath thing too, but at the same time, I don't mind Reigns. We want something new. We want something fresh. But no, here's something new. Here's something fresh. This is not.
I just think it would have helped tell the story arc of WrestleMania if you had the two most over things in last year's WrestleMania going against each other in a world title match in this year's WrestleMania. Okay, and the David versus Goliath thing would have worked, and I think Daniel Bryan is more over than Roman Reigns, so putting the two most over guys other than Cena in the company against each other would have been more of a hype crowd atmosphere anyway, and told a better in-ring. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why Bryan is better, but that's not what we're getting. It sucks that Bryan doesn't really have a storyline for Mania now at this point. And then Roman Reigns, hopefully he can, do some awesome stuff. I mean, the Superman punch is getting over, so it could work out well.
All right, dude. All right. Yeah. You got your clinics over there? You got that? You got your clinics?
Man, whatever, dude.
So check this shit out, right? That ends our You know what would have been cool too? I wish Brock Lesnar would have been in the building and would have just kind of stepped out the ramp, or even Paul Heyman. You know, like, but just step out to the ramp because
like clapping or something.
Like the Reigns is staring at the WrestleMania sign. He's pointing to the WrestleMania sign. He's wilding out, hoorah, believe that, cocking his fist, what have you. And then the fucking Brock's music just hits. And he's just standing on the ramp with the belt with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has a smug look on his face. He's holding the belt. Brock Lesnar is looking and then just sort of stare off. That would have made, and then, they shoot the shot from Brock Lesnar over his shoulder. You see Reigns in the ring with the WrestleMania sign. I think that would have been a great, great ending. And that's all I'll say on that. That's all I'll say on that, because we're a good we're a good hour and 25 in, and I think that makes for a good enough time to end part one of this weekend's, Sunday. Well, how about Fastlane, Raw, two-part series review from Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. We'll be right back again. PJTWCentral.com, PJTW Central at Twitter, PJ. What the fuck? Ellen Japanese. And what's yours again?
JG Pro Wrestling, at JG Pro Wrestling on Twitter.
All right.
Hit me up.
All right. I'm going to end this recording for now, and we'll be back with our Raw review. So, peace. We'll be right back.
You have been listening to Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling Podcast. Please tune in next week.